Welcome to another edition of Play Branson. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm here with Haley Westrich. It's good to see you again here today.
Thank you. Good to be back.
It's another weekly episode, and so if you're just now tuning in, be sure to go back and listen to our previous episodes with our past performers. We've got a new episode coming every week to you, and we've got another great episode coming up. And you know, one of the things that we wanted to make sure is everybody knows what's going on in Branson, and so this week, we've got a lot of things opening in Branson. And so a lot of excitement. We have the Presleys opening on March 10th. The Presley family is one of the first families here in Branson, the first theater on Highway 76. Rick Thomas, who's over at Andy Williams Moon River Theater, he is a magician, will be opening March 11th. We have the $1 Million Quartet out at the Welk Resort on March 11th. The Ballknobbers, which they've been here really since the beginning. They're really one of the first families as well, on March 14th. And then we have a special event called Praise Fest coming up on March 16th at the Mansion Theater. So tell me a little bit about that.
So that's going to be a super exciting night, especially if you're into Southern gospel music. We've got a ton of awesome artists. You've got the Collingsworth family, Mark Trammell Quartet, and one of my favorites, Ernie Haas and Signature Sound. So it's a great night. You will not want to miss it.
So if people are into Southern gospel music, this is like a great event for them to come to.
Absolutely.
Okay, so folks, sometimes on these special events, you don't see a lot of advertising for them, like in all the brochure racks and TV. And so this is a special event. We do have some other folks that are opening up. Forever Young is going to be on March 16th, and then Number One Hits of the 60s on March 19th.
Yes, and both of those shows you just mentioned are actually moving to a different location this year. You've got Forever Young over at the Americana Theater and Number One Hits of the 60s over at Clay Cooper's Theater this year.
So when people move, we call that the Branson Shuffle, and there are lots of movements going on this year in Branson theaters, and that happens for really a variety of reasons. Today we have like an awesome guest coming up. I'm pumped about this guy.
Super exciting.
But I'm pumped about everybody, but this guy, I really like him a lot.
Yes, he's been performing for over 30 years now, so he's definitely one of the top entertainers here in town.
And I love, to me it's kind of like the American success story of people that come in, work hard, and great entertainers, and it pays off for them long term.
So
we'll be right back in just a moment with our next guest.
The Holiday Inn Express, Green Mountain Drive. It's the perfect resort hotel for your next Branson stay. Check into one of our many room types. Then relax in the refreshing indoor pool and hot tub. Enjoy the free hot breakfast every day. For more information or to make reservations, call 800-321-7275.
Welcome back to Play Branson. Our guest today is Clay Cooper with the Clay Cooper's Country Music Express. Clay, it's great to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So you just kind of showed up. You really don't know why you're here.
No, somebody said be over it, and I did.
So really, we are so glad that you're here. And tell folks a little bit about like how you got to Branson and kind of your journey here.
Well, it was kind of odd. I mean, I don't know if it was odd or not, but I was working with a kids band out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we were called the Texas Gold Miners. We were all from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we worked all over Texas, did a lot of shows at South Fork Ranch where they filmed the show Dallas. A lot of shows out there, and we worked the State Fair and different special events and private parties. Well, first of all, there were 8 of us in this group, and I was the oldest at 16. The youngest in the band was 8 years old. We played our own instruments, sang harmonies, clogging, dancing, everything. So we got a call in 1986 about Branson, Missouri. There was a theater here called the Ozark Country Jubilee.
Right.
And they were looking for someone to come in and do a matinee time slot. Well, we had never heard of Branson at all, but we had 2 parents and 2 vans. And we piled in those vans. We drove to Branson, got to town about 8:30 at night. I'll never forget pulling off on Highway 76, and I saw, you know, the Ball Knobbers lit up, and the Presleys, and the Foggy River Boys, and the Plummer Family, and the Bachelor Show, and the Roy Clark Theater, and the Boxcar Willie Theater, and all these different theaters and hotel lights. And I thought, man, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And so we pull in to the Ozark Jubilee, and they had a show going that night, and we got in just in time to see the second half. And I mean, we were all just like, whoa, this is cool. So as soon as the show's over, the owners, Clifford and Maggie Sue Campbell, who owned the Jubilee, auditioned us. We went up there, we got our instruments out, we played a few songs. They said, we love it, you're hired. And I remember one of the parents said, well, when do you want them to start? And they said 2 days from now.
Oh my gosh.
We're like, what? So we did. We practiced the next 2 days. We started doing 4 o'clock matinee. It was at 4 o'clock. Our tickets were $7.44 a piece, tax included. I'll never forget that.
$7.44.
So then our parents go back, and all the other parents bring us clothes. The Campbells had rented us a 6-bedroom home downtown Branson, right behind where used to sit where the old post office is down there, and we all lived together. And our seasons were Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Okay.
And as soon as Labor Day we were finished with our season, we would check out of school here. We all went to school here. We'd all go back to our respectable towns, enroll in school at our hometowns. We'd go to school. And then when school was out, we'd transfer and come back to Branson and do it again. And that's what we did, and it just turned into something. You know, 31 years I've been doing this, but it was quite a deal. And our parents, we had 2 chaperones that lived with us, and our parents would all come up and visit us every other weekend on the weekends.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Wow.
I was 16 on my own, man.
Playing in a theater.
Yeah, working in Branson, Missouri, it was like, man, you know, this is amazing.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Love it.
Okay, so who were your influence in country music?
Well, I've always been a big fan of, I'm a huge Hank Williams Jr. fan, Merle Haggard and George Jones, the greatest country singers ever. I mean, 150 years from now, you still will not find anybody that can sing country music like Merle Haggard and George Jones. It ain't going to happen.
So after the Texas gold miners, you did really some other shows here in the
I
area.
did.
So talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, well, so kind of what happened is with the gold miners, our name was the Gold Miners, M-I-N-O-R-S, because we were all underage.
Oh, yeah.
See? So what happened is, as we got older, we were really too old to be minors. So as we got older, we kind of left the band, and they'd bring in a younger and this and that. But I stayed with them from 86 until 1994. And then in 1994, so I was 24 years old. In 1994, a new show hit town called Country Tonight out of Las Vegas. They were working the Aladdin Casino, and they wanted to branch out. Well, they got the old theater up here where Ray Stevens was.
Right.
They opened up in May of 94. I got a call in July of 94 from R.P. Harrell, who was the piano player and the musical director there, and said, hey, our bass player's not working out. Do you want to come audition? I heard good things about you. I didn't know him. I went down and auditioned, and they liked what I did, and so I quit the Gold Miners, went to the Country Tonight, and I was just a bass player. Kind of took a back seat. I played bass, sang 1 or 2 songs, and then a year and a half later, the guy that emceed the show broke his jaw. He was cutting a lobster tail with a steak knife, which don't do that. You know, you crack it and pinch it. You don't cut lobster tail with a steak knife. Just a little tip for y'all. All right. So anyhow, so he's cutting this lobster tail, and it slips off and cuts his finger. And he saw blood, and when he saw the blood, he passed out, fell over, and hit his jaw on the windowsill, and they had to saw his jaw shut for 2 months. So the next day they go, what are we going to do? Our MC's down and blah, blah, blah. And Wayne Massengale was playing fiddle. He goes, man, Clay Cooper knows how to MC. And they're like, you're in.
Oh, my gosh.
So at 2 o'clock that afternoon, I MC'd the show, and needless to say, the guy with the broke jaw never
came back.
I took his job.
So
then I became...
So there was opportunity, like right there.
Bam,
you were at the right place at the right time.
I went from the measly little bass player to the man. And my salary doubled instantly. And I worked there for 10 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I worked there for 10 years. And then after, in 10 years, Paul Harris, my best friend Paul Harris said, hey, I'm fixing to leave Pierce Arrow and start my own show, but I ain't going to do it unless I have you. I said, man, I got a great job at Country Night, making great money. He said, I'll match whatever they're paying you I got to have you. So I quit Country Tonight, and at the end of '03, and Paul and I went together at the Caravel, and we were selling it out every night instantly, because I already had a reputation with Country Tonight. Paul had his own reputation with Pierce Arrow, and we just went together and did our own deal. And then in 3 years, Paul goes, I'm tired of this, I'm moving to Nashville. And I said, what? I just quit a 10-year job, and now you're leaving. So he left. I said, well, my wife said, why don't you just start your own show? I said, well, I guess so. Started our own show doing mornings, and we built our clientele for 3 years. And then we thought, well, if we're going to really do this thing, we got to step out and move into the night spot and be competitive, you know. So I started out with 4 dancers. My wife was one, had a 5-piece band, and that was it.
Now, was this at the theater, like across from Walmart?
No, this was at the Caravel.
Oh, still at the Caravel.
So then I moved to the night shows, and I rented that little dump across from Walmart. And I emphasize dump, okay? That theater's been here for 40 years, and nothing's ever made it. And I knew that. And everybody in town I know was going, man, Clay, what has Clay lost his mind? Nobody's ever made it in this little dumpy theater down in the hole there. And I knew that. But we took about $200,000. We repainted it. We put new roof, a new sound, new lights, and we did well for 3 years there. And then we thought, well, if we're ever going to really step it up, we got to be up on the Strip in a good spot with a credible theater. So we saved up, made this thing happen, bought the old Osmonds Theater, and did a huge reface on it, and the rest is history. We've been there about 7 years.
And now you're really in one of the prime spots in Branson.
I'd say it's probably the best location in Branson, Missouri, at that main red light across from the Titanic. And another thing, we built slowly. You know what I'm saying? If you'll notice, we started in the morning with a small cast, went to the next step, got a few more dancers, come down here, and we went from like a 9-piece cast to now we have 25 people. 11 dancers and a 7-piece band and singers and trick ropers and comedians. And
it's an amazing show, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So we'll be back in just a moment, and with more from Clay Cooper.
Going around the world in a pickup truck. Ain't going down till the sun comes up.
Howdy, y'all. This is Clay Cooper, and I want to invite you to come see us at Clay Cooper's Country Express in Branson, Missouri, bringing you the best music, comedy, dancing, and variety show that Branson has to offer. Get your tickets now, and we'll see you at the Clay Cooper Theater. Clay Cooper's Country Express. We're just real people having a real good time.
We're back with Clay Cooper. If you just saw that video, you got just a kind of a quick glimpse of what his show is like. And so, Clay, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about what people can expect from your show this year, and if someone's never seen you, like, kind of give them the feel of what they're going to experience on your show.
Well, the show is called Clay Cooper's Country Express, but it's a lot more than that. I mean, of course, I love traditional country, and I like some of the new country, but I also like, I like classic rock. I like AC/DC and Motley Crue and, Frank Sinatra and Michael Bublé. I love all that stuff. I really do. Bruno Mars. And so we mix it up some, And I would say it's a variety show without a doubt, because we do everything from George Jones to Roger Miller and Garth Brooks and Toby Keith and Tim McGraw, and we do Bruno Mars. We do the Allman Brothers. We have a Bruno Mars segment and a Michael Jackson song. We do some Elton John and Adele, and
so a great variety.
It's everything, yeah. I mean, it's a lot more than just country, but it's country based. I mean, right. Probably majority of it's country, but we do mix in a lot of the, Huey Lewis and all types of stuff.
So musically, you and I grew up in the same era. With when you talked about Motley Crue. Now I really didn't listen to Motley a lot. Now Def Leppard, Bon Jovi,
man,
some of those guys.
I went and seen AC/DC several times when I was a teenager, and Wasp and Iron Maiden. And
oh, you're like hardcore.
I loved it, man, and I still love it. I mean, yeah.
So you also have comedy.
Yeah, Matt Gumb's our comedian. A very, very talented cat. He can do anything. Great at impersonations, and he does Tom Jones in the show, and he does an Elton John piece. This year we're adding, he's going to be doing a Prince, a little tribute to Prince, and dressing up and doing the guitar, and he's incredible. He's really an incredible guy. He's also my worship leader at the church that I attend, and just a well-rounded guy,
Well,
very, very talented.
Now, I've been sitting here seeing your little tattoo, and I was going to actually ask you about that.
Faith.
And so,
Let me tell you about that. I got that little tat about 3 or 4 years ago. My mom passed away when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
She had cancer and battled it. She got it when I was in kindergarten and battled it and passed away when I was 12. My sister was 16. Well, about 3 years ago, my sister was going through this big box of stuff that she had. And she found my mom's, my mom had like a spiral notebook. And in the hospital, she spent a whole year in the hospital before she passed there. Matter of fact, I didn't go to school my whole 6th grade year. I slept and stayed with my mom.
Wow.
And the little local school, a small town, they passed me on because they understood, and I went on to the next grade and everything. But I was a big mama's baby. And so anyhow, about 3 years ago, my sister was thumbing through this tablet, and every day my mom in the hospital left a little journal, and she'd write scriptures and, and different, words of encouragement and stuff, and she had a line in there which she'd written something about God and having a strong faith and this and that. Anyhow, so we took a little carbon paper and took this is actually my mom's handwriting.
Oh, wow.
That we took off that tablet, and my sister and myself and my daughter and my sister's 2 daughters all got that tattooed on our wrist right there. So it's very special to me.
Wow.
I'm not
And see, that's the type of stuff people are not going to learn in your show. And I love those stories because there's meaning behind them.
Yeah.
And man, I feel like we've still got so much to talk about. But you, from an entertainer perspective, a lot of times entertainers really, they stay kind of in their world, and you've really stepped out and gotten real involved in the community. And you're on the chamber board, and you in some cases you've taken some heat for standing up for certain things. But and I told you the other day, I said, man, I appreciate you taking leadership because sometimes that's tough when you're an entertainer.
I mean, it is because when you're an entertainer, you want to always be the nice guy that everybody likes and don't want to ruffle feathers. And I've always been like that. I'm a very non-confrontational guy. My wife will tell you that sometimes to a fault, sometimes I just let, we have 78 employees, and sometimes I let people get away with stuff that they, most employers wouldn't let them do. But I don't want to, I want everybody to like me, and I want to be the nice guy.
Yeah.
But, this whole thing that you speak of, I thought it was very important that I do speak up on this because, it's our livelihood here. If somebody don't stand up for the live entertainment in this town, if there is no live entertainment in this town, there is no this town.
Well, and
that's just the bottom line.
And that's why we're here, is because we want to promote live entertainment, most definitely. Now, you have a new show as well, right?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit, any new additions that you've added into this season?
For our show, we change the show every year completely. Well, 95%. We may keep a certain gospel song or a certain patriotic song, but every year we change up every song in that show. So because we do get a lot of repeat customers, and when they come back, they want to see something different. I mean, they want it. Yeah, it may be me and the same dancer and the same guitar player, but we're doing different songs and different choreography and different moves and different costumes. So it is very important to us to change the show up every single year so that people don't see the same thing. So we are changing a lot of the song material and costumes. We've added a new musician to the stage, Jonathan Black, who plays great saxophone. He's a great harmonica player and keyboard player, and we're very excited about adding saxophone. I've always wanted a saxophone in the band, so when I'm doing my Huey Lewis stuff, we can have some saxophone, So that's pretty important. And also new this year, as you mentioned, I think earlier in one of your segments here, that the #1 hits of the 60s is coming to our theater this year, doing matinees. We have the Haygoods doing our evenings that I'm off 3 nights a week. And also a new show that my wife and I wrote and produced last year called Hot Rods and High Heels, which is an all 50s show, and it went over so good last year. It's all 50s music, and there's 14 people in that cast.
And it will be back.
It will be back, doing a 2 o'clock matinee, and we'd never produced anything like that, a 50s show, but we had this opening, and we said, let's just do our own thing. So we thought, well, let's do a 50s show. There's not a lot of 50s shows in town now, and I mean, it turned out really, really
that's awesome.
And I love it. I go watch it a couple of times a week.
And folks, here's what I'm going to tell you about Clay Cooper. When you're in town, be sure to come see his show. And he is an incredible entertainer. And in fact, in 2015, he got Entertainer of the Year with one of the award shows in town. And, you know, in the clip you saw a little earlier, it said, real people having a real good time. And I can tell you, Clay Cooper is a real person. He's genuine. He gets out in the audience. He talks to the audience. And after the show, Clay, don't you guys still, people can get their picture taken with you and meet you and that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah. I hang there I tell them, man, y'all want to come by after the show, we'll take pictures and sign stuff and visit until the last person's left the building, you know, and I'll stay out there. It's normally about a good 45 minutes before everybody kind of mingles out. But to me, I think that's what, you know, I think that's what people are drawn to about me and our show is that, you know, and that little tagline you said is something I just said in an interview about 3 years ago, and they said, what do you think it is about your show that people enjoy? And I said, well, we're just real people having a real good time. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty good tagline.
It is.
And it's the truth, you know. I mean, I believe when people come to my show that they see a guy who is just happy to be where he's at, thankful to be where he's at, and to me, they see that I think they feel, you know, people holler and say stuff out of the crowd because they feel comfortable with me, and I love that. If somebody hollers, hey, do this song, we may do it, you know?
You know, one of the persons, or one of the entertainers that I think you're similar to, from a not necessarily exactly, but is Neal McCoy. And you know Neal.
I do.
And he's a great entertainer, and I think you guys, I would love to see both of you in a show together, quite honestly.
We've done a couple of shows together down in Texas before, and it was quite...
I bet it was
quite
I bet it was awesome.
Yeah, I get that a lot, actually. People, of course, I taught him everything.
Yeah, I taught him everything he knows.
But
you know, the other thing that, and I've seen this, is as I go out to ball games and stuff like that, Clay is there with his family. He supports the Branson community, and so you get out there in the community and just enjoy life here.
You know what? The older I get, my kids, I've got a 22-year-old in college, I've got a 13-year-old boy in 7th grade, and an 8-year-old in 2nd grade, and one of the things I love about having my own show and setting my own schedule is that it's important to me. It's more important to me to not miss out on my kids and what they're doing. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'd go, you know, I'd do one show a week and go to ball games the other 6 if I could still pay my bills, you know. But I'm not going to miss my kids' ball games. I mean, I set my schedule based around when it's basketball season, when it's football season, and what's going on, because you know, they're going to grow up and be gone, and then I don't want to miss that. And so I see at the high school game. I go to high school games, and I don't even have one playing high school games. I support the Branson School District and their sports, and I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, I could keep talking to you, but we're going to have you come back another time.
All right.
Because there's a lot more we could talk about. Folks, here's the deal. When you come to Branson, go see Clay Cooper's show. He's got lots of other shows at his theater as well. And when you're buying your tickets, go to ibranson.com. You can see his show schedule as well as other people's there. Or you can call 1-877-ENTERTAIN, and they can help you plan your entire Branson vacation. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Play Branson. Have a great day.